Highly requested video, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. Welcome to the channel. Don't mind my sidekick. He just with me rocking today. We're gonna be talking about highly requested video. Like I said, a lot of people been telling me they don't fish, but they want to get into it. So shout out to y'all first off, because y'all rocking with the channel and y'all want to learn how to fish. You want to get into it. I got some good starter baits. Got some cheap rods and reels. Now, when I say cheap, peep this. Don't mind that. It's just me now. So when I say cheap, I'm not talking. Let's see. Let me see how I can word this. I'm talking cheap, but good. Cheap, durable. Cheap, but works. So I'm trying to see the best way to put it. I'm not giving you cheap that you just go out there and use and it break. If you want to learn how to fish and get into fishing, this is cheap, durable. Give you enough time to upgrade, and we're gonna break it down. I got rods and reels. I got the basic terminal tackle. I got my go-to baits. Next video, I'll actually be outside. I'll show y'all how I use these baits and what scenarios do I use these baits. And got a cool little surprise for y'all coming on the channel. Cool series. It's gonna be really informal, enjoyable. Let's get into it. Not gonna lie, after looking at the first short, by the way, didn't get much traction, but a lot of people said they liked it. So the math ain't really mathing, but we're not gonna talk about that. I'm gonna give y'all some more. Maybe gonna throw them on like TikTok or something, because y'all are TikTokers. But the PIP angles are crazy. I like the PIP videos because it's very informal, and you get to kind of see me as an angler, how I break down stuff, my philosophy. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, rods and reels. Your rod and your reel is your essentials. My dog doing too much. Let me get him together. No more distractions, and we're gonna make this video very simple, quick, and informal. I might be saying that wrong. I don't know. I feel like I am, but casting reels, spinning reels. Let's break it down just a tad. You want to know your differences. So basically, the way I put it, casting is your hard baits, your baits with weights. That's my way of breaking it down. Simply put, it's not finessey. And when I say finesse, I'm meaning light line, light gear, stuff you're gonna have to fidangle and finesse with, move around. So your casting, now I'm gonna make a video starting how to use your casting, how to use your spinning. As a beginner, if you don't know anything about fishing, I strongly urge you to get both at the same time. So first off, we're gonna talk about spinning. Shimano Zealous casting rods. You find these at Academy a lot. These are just the long blue rods that you see. Very durable rods. I have two that I use faithfully. I haven't used any recently in my tournaments, but they are in my lineup. I will take one with me, and I will catch a big bass with them. I've done it plenty of times. I've had them for about 4 years now. 5 years. Those two. Very good. I recommend using them. And as you can tell by the price here, I tried to be very budget friendly. $50 for a rod starting off. That's a good start. Now I know it's a lot of people out here going, he ain't talking about nothing. He don't know nothing. Bear with me. I know a little something. Trust me. Now, two cheap rods, your casting and your spinning gonna put you in about the same boat. Now, when it comes to your rod action, I would go medium heavy casting, medium spinning, just to give you a little more flexibility. And what I mean about medium heavy, medium, you hear it all the time. That's fishing jargon. That's just telling you how thick and backbone your rod giving. If you got a light, it's going to be thin. It's going to be very flimsy and flexible. Good for your drop shots, your shaky head type orientations. Your harder ones, more backbone. If you're using your heavies, that's for your big swim baits. That's for your big crankbaits. If you want to get them out there, if you want to bring them in those certain strike areas, if you're trying to fish a certain depth with that crankbait, throw all that out the window right now. We will get in depth. I will break everything down to y'all if y'all want it, I promise. But in the meantime, get a heavier casting, lighter spinning. So I'm going to say medium heavy, on that casting, medium, or medium light on your spinning. Medium light on your spinning, medium heavy on your casting. That's the best way to put it. And reels. So 13 fishing, Origin, R1 casting reel. I had one of these. I still got it. It's in a box somewhere. The only reason I don't use it anymore is because I'm a lose junkie. Lose speed spool. Them the only rods I really use for real. And I'm a lose junkie. I got so many lose reels, rather be casting and spinning. But this Origin, for $64.99, you getting a lot of bang for your buck. It's a very durable rod. Reel. Good drag. You can really throw smooth casting, especially with these two together. I did have my Origin reel on my Shimano rod. That's why I'm recommending it. I'm not giving you nothing I'm not using. So spinning, you see what I got? The $40 lose reel. The lose, I'm a lose junkie. Lose just very smooth, very good with casting, very good drag. Now I'm saying that's personal preference. You might be a Shimano, or you might be an Akuma or a Penn, or it's different reels, so to each his own. But what I'm coming at y'all with is with the spinning, the lose, the Origin, the 13 fishing for the casting. Both of those work good. First off, all this starts with your terminal tackle, your line, your hooks, your weights, your stoppers, things like that. Let's break it down. Line. First off, the Seaguar been going crazy. If you know anything about fishing and your line, Seaguar got it. That's what I've been using. I use the Seaguar Red. I use the one I got in the picture here. I got the yellow. When it comes to the heavier line, I use the yellow. Red is like my everyday. But when I don't got either that basic X, money. Now what I will say this, disclaimer, tie your knots. Tight. I'll show y'all how I tie my knots, different knot variants. I'll give y'all the basic knot since this is the starter series. Now, with the basic line, it is known to slip after you catch a lot of fish. I've missed big fish from not retying hooks. But that's any line. You always need to retie after you catch a bunch of fish. You don't need to tie a knot on a hook, fish a whole tournament, go home, eat, and let it still stay and think you're going to fish with it over and over again. You do need to be clipping and retying. You catch 2 or 3 big bass, if you like me now, clip, retie. You gotta, and if you catch about 20 little ones, 20 is crazy. I'm gonna say about 10. No, 10 is crazy too. I don't know a good number. Let's personal preference. Break off a few times, then you'll know. Y'all starting, you gonna break off, you gonna miss fish. It happens, trust me. So that's the easiest line I would go with personally. Very cheap, $10 for 200 yards, I think, or something like that. That's enough to spool you a reel. 2 reels, honestly, when you first starting off, you're not finna be yinging it out there, getting it that far yet. Like, let's take baby steps. Now, terminal tackle. You've heard me talk about the Squadron swim bait heads all the time. Now, starting off bass fishing, I would definitely recommend throwing a 2.8 swim bait, a 3.3, and maybe a 3.8, depending on where you're fishing. All of this differs where you're fishing as well. But if you starting off and you want to get a bite, you want to get into bass fishing, 2.8 swim bait, which means you're going to use about a 1/8 hook. 1/8, and let's talk about the head sizes. You got your 1/8, your 3/16, your 3/8, your 1 ounces, your 1/2 ounce. All that saying is how much weight is on that head. If I'm throwing a 1/8, 1/16, let's go crazy. 1/16 gonna fall like this. It's gonna go real slow falling down in the water because that head is small. And that bait, usually if you're throwing a Kitech swim bait, the Fat Impacts that I use, the 2.8s, it ain't heavy. So that it's gonna give you about this much of a presentation. Small swim bait, bass eat it up. That's why you're gonna catch big ones and small ones. You're catching more small fish than you was prior because of that smaller bait. So you got your 1/16 on this falling like this. Now with that, you can boom boom pop it twice and You see, but it's gonna take a while to fall down, and that fall is what usually entices those fish to get a bite. Now, if you fishing some deep water and these fish are on bottom, and you want to throw a 1 ounce big head, you're gonna put a 3.8 on it. You want some presentation and profile, you're gonna throw it, it's going like this. It's going straight down, it's getting where you want it to get. And not to be confused, if you throw a heavy swim bait and you want to fish it around here, you can go ahead and start reeling it, it'll go like this. You can throw it and it'll do that. You can throw it, it'll hit the bottom and it'll do the same thing. Only thing that's changing with the head sizes is your depth of fall, and if you want to match the hatch that similar, you can throw a little head if they biting little guppy minnows or something like that, or bigger if they biting brim shad, something with a little meat on it. Let's talk. We're just gonna go down the list. Sinker stops. Now, I should have had some real world example on hand, and I do apologize. But when I do my videos outside, I'll show you. Make sure I'm rigging and showing you everything. But all it is a little black stopper. You slide your line through that little notch on the picture I got, and then you pull it through. It's on there. It won't move unless you move it. So that's very good for your Texas rigs. Starters. I use the 6 cents ones. Now this says VMC. 6 cents got some. I think they're $1.99. So a few more cents, you get a $1.99. I know for a fact 6 cents don't move. I haven't had any issues with 6 cents moving. And when I say moving, I mean once it gets on your line, it's there. Unless you move it. If you slide it up your line some more because you want that weight to go a little higher, or if you want to slide it flush, that weight won't move. Now you use your sinker stoppers for your Texas rig. I'm going to go ahead and make a picture for the Texas rig as well. Your Texas rig is going to be your sinker stopper, your weight, your hook. That's all the Texas rig is. Then when you put your bait on, do not. Now, a lot of people get on that. Do you use a sinker stopper? Do you not? I always use one. The only thing that changes is if I got it flush or if I got it loose. If I'm fishing heavy stuff and I want my bait to shoot through it, I'm going to put it flush to that weight and the hook. And it's going to go down, straight down together as a unit. Now, if I'm fishing some other stuff, that's not heavy on grass or it's not that much coverage and I want it to kind of linger, I'm going to put my sinker stopper high. Because when I throw it out, that means that weight got some room to slide. And once it slides flush, it'll fall down, but my bait going to be going like this. Slower presentation on the fall, but then I got my sinker stopper flush. That's going to get it straight down. And trust me, I know right now you probably like, what is this guy talking about? I just started. This little space right here, I'm going to have some illustrations. And when I go on the next video for the continuation, you're going to see everything in live action. So, that's the basics of the sinker stopper. Now, when I start doing the rigs and stuff for the beginners, everything will make sense. The Gamakatsu going to do it to it every time. One of my favorite hooks to use in terms of terminal tackle, whether it be for my shaky heads, Texas rigs, if I'm flipping, if I'm pitching, anything, even when I'm drop shotting, I got a Gamakatsu with the little thing. But listen, I got the round ones, the round being offset just for this video. When you're starting off, it's easier to pin your bait, tie it on, and have your sinker there. I know, listen, I might not be a good teacher because I have no illustration. Illustration's coming. But basically, hook is going to be, this hook is sharp. You're going to pierce through fish's mouth easily. And that round bend, it'll pay off when I show you the next part of this video. And then you have your weight. Eagle claw, really don't matter. Honestly, everybody been going with the lead tungsten argument. Tungsten give you a little more bang for your buck. I will admit that when tungsten first started blowing up, I was like, I'm gonna throw the lead. But that tungsten, it give you a little more penetration in water. It give you a little more sound. I will admit, it's deeper than what y'all think. But weights, Eagle claw, I actually use 6 cents weights too. I use Eagle claw. Look, Walmart brand. It's tungsten just like everything else. Save you some money. Come on, I got you. But yeah, basically that's what I'm gonna recommend. And That's your terminal tackle. When people talk terminal tackle, that's all it is. Your hooks, line, your weight, your stoppers, your beads, whatever you putting on your line to help entice fish bites or hold fish. Now, let's talk baits. Soft baits. And I'm going to show you what you pair with what. And I got space. Let's start off with this Kitech Swing Impact Fat Swim Bait. Recommended sizes, your 2.8 and your 3.3 starting off. I will say that. You're going to catch big bass with a 2.8. You're going to catch big bass with a 3.3. You're also going to catch little bass with them too, just because little bass can bite them. Some people who use swim baits stress big swim baits, but let's start it out. Let's go small right now. Let's throw it out, reel it in. Now, since I got you using the small swim baits, you want your spinning reel for this because it's a finesse bait. Remember that. Your finesse bait is your smaller bait. You want to throw that on your spinning rods because you can throw it further. You can get more action with it. You can do a little more with it, and it's your feel. A lot of people don't really talk about that, but starting off, you can actually feel what's happening in the water by touching your line and your rod. So that's why I said go medium light, medium. You can feel everything. So throw that with that squadron hook, that Strike King squadron hook. That's combo. That's all you need. All you need is that squadron head and that little swim bait. Pop it on. You got your presentation. You done seen me use them before. You done seen, I actually caught fish with them and you seen the load out. So that's what I would recommend with that. Now, these next 4 baits. You got your Guggen bait, Bandito bug. If you watch the channel, you seen what saved me and Ross Barnett, the Guggen bait Bandito bug. Now the junior is what I use. That's the 3.3, smaller profile. I actually go finesse all the time just because the person in front of the boat, if I'm fishing tournaments, they're usually using bigger presentations. So I want to catch fish that they wouldn't have caught with that bigger presentation. So I would actually advise starting off with the junior. So once I show you all the Texas rig in action, once again, your stopper, your weight, and then your hook. You slide your stopper on first, slide it up, then you slide your bullet weight through, slide it up, then you tie your hook on. That's all it is. You come back, slide your stopper wherever you want it, and then you got that set up, and now you need a bait. And that's what these 4 are for. So your Guggen bait, your Bandito bug, you want to actually pierce that through the front end, let it fall through, smack it back through the back. I'm going to show you some examples when I get my tackle in the next video. Your Zoom worms, your Zoom Magnum worms. Your Magnums ain't nothing but a long worm like this. At the end, it's got a curly tail. So it's different ways you can fish it. You can throw it out, reel it slow, and it's just that tail going to be doing that. Your worm going to be swimming straight. Very good starter bait because you don't got to do as much with it. Now, you can throw it out, let it hit bottom. You want to just pick your rod up. It's going to pull towards you. That tail doing this. Now, as you know, you've seen in the video, I went crazy with the grub. Same concept. You throw it out, your grub going to do a little dance. You don't got to do much with those. After you find your niche, that's what gets it. I put the Zoom finesse worm on here for one reason and one reason only. I'm going to show you that when I show the example. The best starter bait you can throw, in my opinion. And I'm going to show you exactly why. Something my granddaddy taught me. I was fishing tournaments in 7th, 8th grade. Like when I was, way long ago. And I was actually like doing really good. And everybody was asking me what I was using. After I showed them, they like, you know what I'm saying? So, good bait. Let's talk baby brush hogs now. Your brush hogs, I never use brush hog like the grown man brush hog. I always use the baby brush hog because that smaller, compact design with the different appendages and tails and bobbly fin, you getting a lot of bang for your buck with the baby because it do a little more. That grown man brush hog, I've never used, to be honest, ever. I always use the baby brush hog. And like I said, I'm just giving y'all the baits right now for starters, giving you some terminal tackle, giving you some rods and reels. And then the next video, I'll show you all this in motion. And let's go ahead and go to your plugs, starter plugs. And if you got any questions or any video recommendations, comment, contact me. Everybody, I'll put my contact information here. Just Facebook. Y'all can't have my number or nothing crazy. Now let's talk about your starter plugs. This time of year, I got you 2 top waters and a crankbait. With the rod that you're using, you can use this DT4. That's going to be the Rapala DT series crankbait. DT4, DT mean dives 2, 4 foot. DT6 dives to 6 foot. DT8 dives to 8. We're gonna worry about just 4 right now. My starters, and that means it's diving 4 foot. So don't go fishing with somebody and they like, we fishing offshore 20 foot and I got a DT4. This is, now I will say this. This is kind of for, I'm not gonna say it's for bank anglers because I could use this stuff at a tournament and go crazy. But if you fish in the bank, DT4 dives to 4 foot, you can really cast and catch anything around that area with a DT4. That's why I didn't go DT6 or DT8. Because depending on what size line you use, it'll kind of go a little lower than 4 or a little higher than 4. And I meant to tell y'all that. Your line. Starting off, all these baits I gave you, 10 pound. 10 pound. 10 pound. 10 pound good enough. Now, let's talk about my top waters. I do got a slight hiccup here because I gave y'all Seaguard line, which is fluorocarbon, which means it's falling, it's tight, straight on, no stretch. You want to throw some monocarbon line. Monocarbon is stretch, it floats, so it's easier to work your top water. But I'll say this. Growing up, I never knew the difference, and I always had on fluorocarbon, and I always caught fish with top water. And you have too if you experienced, you know that. Fluorocarbon, you can use fluorocarbon starting off, trust me. Sometimes you will see your bait go underwater, and that's because of your line, and you could be overworking it. But let's not talk about that right now. Now, with your top water plugs, put you a stopper flush on that, on your where you tie your knot, put it flush. That way it prevents your line from getting caught on your hooks. Good recommendation, good tip. Now, let's talk about the He-Done one knocker, the spook. Oh, my favorite. You're going to walk the dog, throw it out, smog up, smog up, smog up, smog up. Now, let me explain. Smog up, reel your line. Smog up, it's going to do this in the water. Go left and right. But the reason I gave you that and the whopper plopper is because when you walk the dog, you can go walk, 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 stop. Walk, 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 stop. Walk, stop. You can slow down with a spook. But your whopper plopper, as you can see in the back, that tail is doing this in the water. So if you got some choppy wind or these fish firing aggressive, you can throw that out and just reel. And it's going to do, and he going to come up and get it. Your spook, if they not biting it going fast and you need to slow down a little bit, I strongly recommend switching to the spook. That way you can pop, pop, stop. Pop, 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 stop. Now, I will say this. The tiny torpedo, another He-Done bait, that's what I use starting off with top water. Because it's easier it's just a spook, but it's smaller, and on the back it has a prop. So you can reel it slow and it'll prop, or when you pop it twice, stop. I always go pop, pop, stop, pop, stop, reel my sled, pop, pop, stop, reel, and it's easier to just play with it. And that's one of my favorite top waters ever. But a spook and a tiny torpedo, you can kind of pick, because the tiny torpedo, you're not walking the dog, you're just popping it. But the spook gives you another action, and you can actually slow down. So with these pieces of equipment I've gave you, these are great starters. Next video, I'll break down every single one. I've had so many people asking me about starting with fishing, and these are great baits to start. I gave you some cheap rod and reel combos to that's durable, that you can always use. Make sure when you're done fishing, you put your rods up. A lot of people don't. A lot of people just fish and fish and fish with them. But I strongly urge, when you're done, put them in the house, put them in your garage, put them somewhere cool. You get hot. You go outside all the time. Treat your rods good, oil them down. I'll show y'all that. Don't go getting a new rod trying to oil it down. I'll show you. But I appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope you learned something. Get these baits. Get these rods and reels if you're starting off. These combos are cheap. When I say cheap, cheap. Trust me, they cheap. They cheap. And I appreciate y'all tuning in. If you have any comments, suggestions, if you new, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Next video, I will show y'all how to use everything I just talked about.